Hi guys, Scott Woodward to talk about the Manly Seagulls NRL 2015 preview. Let's have a little bit of chat about how we think they'll go. And they're certainly a long time been one of my favourite teams. And look, I think the market reacted too heavily with the loss of Glenn Stewart and Watmough from this side. And they've both been stalwarts and they've both been a massive part of this forward pack during the many long seasons of success that this team has had. But the recruiters have done a very, very good job in building up that forward depth in this side. And let's not lose sight of the very, very important fact. This is the best 1-6-7 combination in the NRL. We're talking about Brett Stewart, we're talking about Kieran Foran, we're talking about Trbojevic. They are three world-class players, and they're the guys that touch the ball a hell of a lot in this side and make things happen. The other member of the spine, of course, is Matt Bowen, the absolute workaholic. Generally makes more tackles than any other player in the NRL, and he's Mr. Reliable. What you see is what you get, and he does the same every week. This is a very, very good side. It has been for a long time, and I've got no doubt it will be again this year. They are kicking off the year with some problems. A lot of their key players have got injuries, so they're going to have a few challenges early on. But I have no doubt over a 26 round of the competition that Manly will be there playing semi-finals and probably Final Four football at the end of the season. Brett Stewart, I thought, had almost his best season last year, and that's saying plenty when you take into account his incredible resume. He's certainly the best try-scoring fullback that I've ever seen. His ratio for games and tries is second to none. And what's just as impressive, and in fact probably more impressive, is that he generally makes a try assist as well as a try for every time he scores a try, and that's very impressive. I think a try assist is the hallmark of a great fullback, and no one does that better than Brett Stewart. He reads the game brilliantly, he organises his back line brilliantly, and he's a monumental player in this side, and he looks set for a very big year as far as I'm concerned. We might see a little bit of his understudy, young Tom Trbojevic. We haven't seen him yet. We've heard a lot about him. He's in the wings, and if anything happens to Brett Stewart, last year they decided when he wasn't available that Clinton Gutherson would be the guy who would come in, and they also had Peta Hiku who could also play fullback. Now, I've got no doubt that Tom Trbojevic is the second best fullback in the club, and I'm very looking forward to seeing him play a little bit of first grade if anything happens to Brett. As far as the wingers are concerned, they're not settled at all. George Taufua is injured at the moment. I don't know if he'll be ready for round one, but Clint Gutherson will probably stand in for him if that's not the case. On the other side, we have Peta Hiku. I don't consider Peta Hiku an out-and-out winger. I don't think he's fast enough for that. But he's on the outside of Jamie Lyon, and just about anybody can look good on the outside of Jamie Lyon. Also, David Williams is there, and young Braden Will.i.am is also available if the coach wants him. In the centres, Steve Matai and Jamie Lyon is the best centre combination in the NRL. Both guys are carrying injuries at the moment and not sure if they will be fit to play. I would think Chase Blair or somebody like that would come in if one of these guys can't make it. Kieran Foran and Trbojevic, they're both world class. We know what we're going to get from them. They'll be the key players each week with Brett Stewart. They fill 6 and 7. Up front is an area where Manly had a lot of difficulty last year when they got a lot of injuries, and they just didn't have the depth. Now they've got the depth, and Brenton Loris, who was another guy yet carrying an injury, and we're not sure if he'll be ready for round one. But the veteran Willie Mason looms as a very important player in this side. He's the hard-edged player that will give this side a little bit of grunt, which is probably lacking a little bit of grunt, I have to say, if I have to find a weakness in the forward back. But there's a lot of different types of forwards that the coach can choose here. I think Tom Symonds and Justin Horro will probably be the starting back rowers, and Dunamis Louis may win the lock position while Jamie Buhrer is out in the early rounds. Jamie Buhrer is a very important player in this side. He adds a lot of smarts to the side and is just an absolute workaholic, plays well above his weight. And so you can see that I've mentioned a lot of guys who are carrying injuries at the moment, and while the Manly Seagulls may kick off this competition a little bit behind the 8-4, when these guys all get fit, this is going to be as good a side as any in the competition. We only have to look at the bench to know that, And we've seen by the results in the last 12 months that it's the teams with the big depth on the bench are the teams that go well, and that's an area why Manly got eliminated last year. We look at one of their big off-season buys, Felipe Mateo. I don't think we've ever seen the best of him. He's one of the most talented rugby league players I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years or so, and we just haven't really seen the best of him. Perhaps he's a lazy trainer, and he may not be 100% fit. Let's hope that the Manly trainers have got him going, and we see the best of him, because he's a sight to see when he plays. He really is a brilliant player. I spoke about Trbojevic. I'm really looking forward to seeing his elder brother, Jake Trbojevic, get some game time this year. He's a big blockbusting prop forward who's won all sorts of awards in the lower grades, and really looking forward to seeing Jake playing first grade. So let's talk a little bit about that depth in the forwards. We've got Liggy Sayo, Luke Burgess, of course, from South Sydney, is now a part of the group. Jesse Sene-Lafao, Epi Luaki, Josh Starling, who I think will be in the top 17. We've seen plenty of him in the last 12 months, as we have with James Hasson. I think both those guys will be in the 17. And alternatives for the coach is the very promising Blake Leary, Sio Vave, Michael Cheekham, who I had a big rap on 2 years ago and has struggled very heavily with injuries. And let's hope he's injury-free this year and we get to see the talents of Michael Cheekham. Tyson Andrews is a guy who I thought trialled very well this year, and I'm sure he'll be in the coach's mind. And another guy to fill in the back line, Tony Santini. So you can see that there's a lot of promise in this side and a lot of depth, so they can afford to have a few injuries, and they can call on plenty of talent in this side. But really, look, it doesn't matter who they call on, as long as they can keep Brett Stewart, Kieran Foran and Daly Cherry Evans together. This is going to be a very competitive Manly side, and they can beat any team on any given day on any ground. Now, while that might be the case after this year, certainly we're talking about 2015, and if they can keep those three guns together, this is going to be a very, very competitive Manly Seagulls team, and I expect them to play Final Four football at the end of the year. So good luck if you're a Seagulls supporter. I think you're going to have a fun time. Cheers.